I'm really excited to have my next guest with me. This is Sky Cohen. She's a professional creator on YouTube who documents her experiments of wellness, spirituality, alternative lifestyle. Her mission is to inspire people to move from judgment to curiosity. If you like her, search her on YouTube for Sky Life. Welcome to Noble Warrior, Sky.
Woo! I'm so excited to be here. So this is live. People are
This is,
watching this live?
that's right. That's right.
Oh, wow. The
Going
pressure's
live right now.
on.
We're going on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, where else? LinkedIn.
Wait, this
So
is so
everywhere.
cool.
Yeah,
Let's go.
let's go.
Live in action.
So before we started this conversation, we had just talked about what it takes to actually, you know what? Before we go there, I'm
Yeah.
curious about the symbols on your banner, a hummingbird and a
Oh,
butterfly. Tell me about that. Is it just pure aesthetics
oh
or is
my
there a
god.
symbolism behind it?
Great question. Nobody's ever asked me about that. So they are symbols that represent my grandmothers actually, but on both sides who have passed.
Mm,
Hummingbird on for my dad's mom, and the butterfly is my mom's mom, and
mm,
they're just representations of the angels that are always with me, so,
mm.
yeah, I just like those, symbols, and I didn't really know what to make my banner, and I was just playing around and in Canva, and I was like, "Oh, this is perfect."
Yeah. Well, I mean, butterfly is a symbol of transformation. And I
Exactly,
don't know if you know this, hummingbird, it's also a symbol of transformation, especially in the plant medicine circles. Did you know
yeah.
that?
So I did know some of this symbolism, which I
Mm,
also think is very fitting for what I'm doing on my channel. So, yeah, they mean many things.
mm, mm. Well, you're, from my perspective, a professional seeker. You know, you're living the dream life of going from transformation experience to transformation experience, and
Mhm.
you're sharing your experience in a public way such that other can learn from you. So in many ways, you're living the dream of
Mm.
many seekers. Well, what do you have to say about that regarding the professional life of being a seeker?
Wow. Yeah, I guess that is what I do. A professional seeker, I like that. Um, well, I didn't really plan to do that, but that's just what it's become. So, yeah, I mean, first and foremost, I just love storytelling. I love that art form, and I also do have this deep desire and curiosity to learn about life and to dive into all of the mystery within this experience. And that really started in exploring the physical body and how to optimize physical well-being, and then it went down this path of spiritual well-being and how to really understand the soul and like what what we're doing here and what's beyond just this physical reality. And so throughout doing my YouTube channel, it's really just been a pursuit of my curiosity. And then that's turned into, I guess, being a professional seeker. And it's really cool that you're saying you're kind of living the dream. I'm like, I kind of am right now, but I don't always think about that because we can get so wrapped up in all of the challenges that come with everything in life. And
Mhm.
part of the process is actually accepting all of it. Um, and then coming back to gratitude for just the experience,
Mhm.
the process, and falling in love with the process and not the destination.
Mm. Okay, so the reason why I even brought it up, the professional seeker side, you didn't say this, I said it,
Yeah,
is in your YouTube trailer, you had shared very briefly of how grateful you are
yeah,
living and surrounding yourself with people that you love, experiencing these once in a lifetime adventures, and how just you don't know how to articulate it, but just how grateful you are, right? Um, and this is what you do.
right.
So, how do you put yourself in that space of gratitude versus getting into the day-to-day logistics of not finding the right location, the right lighting, like little things like that, and just be in gratitude?
Yeah. Okay, so it's definitely the easiest when I'm in the experience. Even though when there's production happening, there's always things that come up that go wrong that you have to problem solve, but I like that, I think it's pretty fun. I just spent a lot of time editing a video and so in that process, I'm less grateful maybe.
Yep.
Um, Even though I love editing, it's, an art form that I love, I just have done it so much and so often, and being behind a screen for an extended amount of time is not something I think most human beings are actually used to.
Mm-hmm.
So, but getting into gratitude for me actually has been a learned skill in a way because I definitely had a period of time in my life where I felt pretty depressed, pretty lost, pretty stressed. And it was actually through learning gratitude practice that I started to tap into that. And I do think that when it comes to how we want to feel, it's pretty similar to the practice of working out, for example. If we want our physical body to feel good, then we need to do certain things consistently. If we want our mental state to be well, then we have to do certain things consistently, and so I think, that's something that I actively practice
Mm-hmm.
is mental health, and gratitude is a huge part of that, and then when I'm going on these adventures, it's very easy to tap into those states because there is just so much fun to be had, and it is
Mm-hmm.
so exciting.
Mm-hmm. Well, I don't want to dwell on this, but this is important because
Mhm.
from my perspective, you are living a dream because you are going from peak experience from to peak experience,
Yeah.
and by contrast, the video editing seems very mundane, right? Just by based on contrast. So therefore, I think it's even more important to cultivate, here's an ordinary moment. I'm freaking staring at whatever software you use to edit this epic story that I just made. Is as mundane as it gets. Oh my God, this is exporting for the third time, it fails, or whatever the little thing that happens. So then how in those micro moments, how do you bring back gratitude during the mundane moments like that?
Yeah, so, really it comes down to actually being excited about the challenge, because if life was easy, it wouldn't actually be fun. So, I think when it comes to all the little challenges that come up, or even in mundane challenges, that there's a level of excitement that you can bring to it, um, that is treating things like a game. I think gamifying life can be really fun to play with because we don't really know what is happening here, so might as well have fun with it. And I think that's a realization I sort of had in the last 6 months. Like life is kind of like a game. And what makes games fun? Well, that there's actually challenge involved and we have to problem solve and figure things out. So if you can fall in love with that part of it, then it's easier to be grateful even when things aren't going your way.
So I'm gonna push you a little bit if you don't mind.
Sure.
So so life is a game. It's an overall concept. Love it. In the middle of editing, it's frustrating. Like I'm gonna do this 500 times because I edit as well, so I have a little bit of empathy, understanding that,
Uh-huh.
right? So that in that moment of frustration or boredom, perhaps, what do you say to yourself? Oh, this is a game. I'm gonna get X, experience points from that, or like, what do you do in those moments? I'm zooming in
Yeah.
those moments.
There's nothing to fix, there's nothing to do.
Uh huh.
It's totally cool to experience frustration and experience whatever you're experiencing. I think the
Hmm.
more you can completely accept what you're experiencing,
Hmm.
realizing that as human beings, that's just part of who we are.
Hmm.
I think then when you start to fully accept it, then it doesn't have so much wait, because if there's resistance, I mean, there's
Hmm.
always gonna be some level of resistance, but it's in the resisting that I think there is a lot more buildup of stress that's
Got
created,
it.
and when you just let things pass through, like,
Hmm.
I'm totally fine with, like, yelling or, like, punching a pillow if I need to in the process of editing,
Good.
but
Good, good, good. Okay, good. Great. So what I'm hearing is there's a level of surrendering because when
yeah,
it comes to video creation, editing is a part of it. There's no finished product without editing. So editing comes with the territory. There is the payoff, but then there is the quote unquote cost. So then
yeah.
so you've surrendered to that to this profession that you've chosen. Is that an accurate reflection?
Yeah, and with anything you do, there's always gonna be
Hmm.
trade-offs, there's always gonna be parts of it that you may not be as excited about, even though the editing thing is, like, it's just been a co such a journey because that's something I've even been outsourcing in a way, but I'm still doing it. Like, I'm not totally to the point where I have somebody editing all my videos. It just hasn't happened in that way yet, and so, um, but it's something I love. Like, it's like artists who maybe are working on a specific piece of art for a long time and then they're looking at it so much and they're like, "Oh my god, I can't look at this anymore," but, like, they're still in love with the process of creating. Video creation is an art form in and of itself, and I think that creation of any kind, if you're doing any creative work, it's pretty much like the process of giving birth, not there's nothing that compares to giving birth. I think that's the ultimate creation process that exists here in this earthly realm. But think about when you're creating a piece of art, like the ideation phase um, is exciting and usually it's full of lots of ideas. And then when you start getting into the nitty gritty, it starts to get a lot more, like, pressure, and it's like a birth canal where you're, like, trying to push this idea through this, like, tight space, and there's so many things that build up, and so much pressure builds up, and you're like, "Ah!" And then when it's done and created, it's like, "Ah!" So rewarding and exciting
Hmm.
and fulfilling, and so I've just accepted that,
Mm,
when I'm making a video, it's like I'm giving birth every time, so it's not always gonna be comfortable.
mm. I like that. Uh, I don't think I've ever used the. I mean, I get the metaphor, and this is actually what because everything that we see in the world is started with an idea in the mind before we manifest it into 3D reality. So there is that process. But I would never go into the graphical details of like birth canal and pressure and all that. I think that's very fitting. Thank you for that. I love
Yeah,
it.
for sure. That just came to me one day when I was, like, completely done with this. I was making a video, and I think I just had that epiphany, like, "Oh, I'm giving birth to this idea, and it's okay that it's not comfortable in this moment. It's
Mm,
normal."
mm. Um, Okay, so let me ask you this question. There are two schools of thought when it comes to pursue one's passion. One school of thought is Derek Siever says, "Hey, separate your passion and your work, what you do for money, because you don't want to collude them." That's one school of thought. Another school of thought is Joseph Campbell, right? Follow your bliss. If you combine your passion and your work, then you never have to work again in your life.
Mhm.
So, what are your thoughts around those two schools of thought?
Hmm. Well, I definitely combined my passion and what I do for work. That's just the way that I desire to live right now, but I think it's gonna be different for everybody, and there's no right or wrong. I mean, personally, I would like to live my life where every day I spend doing something I enjoy and I love and that I'm passionate and excited about. But there's nothing wrong with wanting to spend a portion of your life and your day doing something that makes you a living to then spend your nights and your weekends for yourself. There's nothing wrong with that. It's just two different paths and two different ways to experience life. So I think it's up to the individual to decide what they want to do there.
Yeah. So what I'm hearing you say, that was a very diplomatic answer. I appreciate that.
It's how I
But
feel, yeah.
yeah, but as at this stage in your life, for you, is
Yeah,
definitely more combining of the passion and work right now. Yeah.
definitely. But you have to have boundaries too, I think, for sure. Like,
Mm.
that's important. I mean, maybe not. For me, I have to have boundaries
Mm-hmm.
around things that I do just for myself, that I don't
Mm.
document, that I spend time completely disconnected from technology, and then I have a lot of my life that I do document, and it just depends on the situation, but I think boundaries are important, in general with anything. Um, but I have also, like, had the fantasy of, like, well, maybe it would be easier if I just was, like, working a job that I enjoyed, but it wasn't, like, my deepest passion, but it's like, "Oh, I enjoy this job. I'm gonna work 9 to 5, and then I have the nights and the weekends for me, and it's totally separate," and that seems kind of nice. That seems, like, simple and, like, a really nice way to live. Because when you start combining your passion and what you do for work, like, it could be really emotionally intense.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's definitely the case for the videos that I make, because there's, like, deep healing processes that I
Mm-hmm.
document, and it can
Mm-hmm.
get super emotional. And
Mm-hmm.
then that's just like generally can be intense overall.
Yeah. I mean, going through a transformational process is difficult enough. And now you're professionalizing and now you're doing it in public effectively, right? It's very admirable. I appreciate the courage. I appreciate the generosity that you have to make your process public. So, what what are some of the surprises when it comes to making your own transformational process public?
Surprises.
Yeah,
Um,
like a happy accident, right? Hey, I
oh,
never thought by doing this in public, I would have gotten this benefit or something like
yeah,
that.
right. Well, I think the biggest thing that has been happening is that I feel less crazy because people, when I post something that I think, I'm concerned if people are going to think this is absolutely nuts, I am always completely pleasantly surprised at the overwhelming amount of response I get, where people deeply resonate and feel like they can relate, and they feel like, wow, I've seen this comment a lot, or message to me a lot, is, oh my gosh, I went through something so similar. I feel so not alone here. Thank you for sharing this. Or this created such an awakening within me, and I didn't know I needed this, or I didn't know that this video would help me
Mm,
awaken in a new way. So that happens all the time. And then it makes it, like, really helps me understand that it helps bring me back to why I do this and why I make these videos in the first place.
mm,
Is for that purpose. But sometimes, like, there have been videos that I'm like, oh God, do I really want to post this on the internet? And then I'm always so surprised at how deeply people connect with them.
do you mind concretize that a little bit? What's one video that you really just struggle to, before a lot of anxiety before you hit post?
Uh huh.
Uh-huh. What's
Yeah, for
one
sure.
example of that?
So I did a video going, I wanted to explore. So I've been really interested in the topic of extraterrestrials, aliens, life elsewhere, UFOs. And I had done some videos about it. And then I had done some research, on this topic. But there's this one woman who I made a video about, who basically claims that she sort of really connects with this one star system of aliens, right? And so going into it, I'm super skeptical, but I'm really curious. And her as a person, like, aside from the alien thing, she's extremely magnetic. And just like, wow, what is going on with this girl? She looks like an alien. Like there's something that I need to understand about this person. I just had this deep curiosity about her. And this is like a part of what she does is she channels this thing called light language. And it's a language that's beyond um it's beyond human language. It's like you're channeling the codes of your soul through sounds. And she specifically has connections, she says, with the extraterrestrial group called Arcturians or whatever. I don't know all the like different groups and species of aliens, but she talks about this openly. So I went into it just really wanting to understand like who she is and really skeptical but also really curious. And when I go into these videos, that's like a big thing is how do I keep an open mind? Like it's okay to be skeptical, it's okay to have judgment, but how can I start keeping an open mind and shifting that into curiosity to get the most out of the experience? Because if you
Mm-hmm.
go into experience with and you have walls up, like what are you going to learn?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you're going to come out the same way that you went in, like, oh, I mean, so that's a big part of the videos that I create. And so I went into this not knowing what we were going to do. She's like very vague about what she wanted to do with me. And she basically set up this whole like healing portal where she did a sound bath, and then she wanted to help me start channeling light language. And
Mm-hmm.
I was like, there's no way. I've never done this before. I how am I going to channel this weird
Mm-hmm.
cosmic language? And it's completely not what I thought it was, first of all. But the way she describes it is it's like you're getting out of the analytical mind. So that's hence why we do like sound bath, deep meditation. You're in like a channeled container to do this practice. And people only see like a tiny clip of the videos, but usually these sessions are, they're at least over an hour long. We were in there for like 2 hours, and then it's getting edited down to like a tiny part. But anyways, so I'm just like, okay, I'm going to be open, I guess, to doing this. And the way she describes it is light language is that you are clearing away the analytical mind. You're just putting that aside. You're entering into this sacred, safe container to allow sound to move through you in a way that is deeply connected to your soul and to a higher life form of expression. And so, anyways, I did not expect anything to happen during this, but I just let myself kind of like go with it. And then this, like, all this sound, at first it was stuck. You can see in the video, I was like I couldn't get it out. And then it was just a word vomit of this weird language I've never spoke before. And it was the most healing experience where I
Mm.
felt like I finally could express what I was feeling on the deepest way, in a way I've
Mm.
never been able to express
In that
before.
language.
Yes.
Mm.
And we were having a whole conversation, her in her language, me in my language, and we completely understood what each other was saying.
Mm.
And on like such a deep level, and it was so beautiful and so emotional, and it brought me to tears. Like I was having a full throat chakra healing in a
Mm.
way. And it looks like absolutely crazy. So but that's what happened. And so I always want to share like the truth of what happened. So I was terrified to post that video. And
Because?
even talked to her, Heather. Her name's Heather. Her channel is Activation Vibration. And I was talking to her before, being like, I don't know if I can do this. And she helped support me to have the courage to actually post it. And then when I
How did she
posted
do
it,
that? How did she do that?
I can't even remember. She was like, this was a while ago, probably like a year ago.
Sure.
She was like, you're gonna be so surprised at like the response and how much people need this.
Mm.
And it was just like a trust thing. And
Mm.
she just has a way. She's like such a mystical being.
Mm.
Yeah, she's incredible. So, anyways, I post the video, and then believe it or not, I have all these people being like, "Oh my god, like this has been happening to me and I haven't told anybody and I was so scared to share this, but I had something similar," or "Oh my goodness, like this brought me I have no idea what this is about, but it brought me to tears and this
Mm,
feels so resonant in my soul and I feel like I need to experience this." And I've had so
mm,
many people like deeply emotional about this video just sharing their experience with me and
mm,
how much they could relate and resonate to it, and that was not what I was expecting at all. So
mm,
then it just reminds me, okay, like there's something bigger happening here. There's like a higher power channeling through all of us right now to help us remember truth. And this is part of what you're doing with your channel. So just trust it,
mm.
even when it feels completely insane.
Yeah, it's extraordinary, right? I would use the word extraordinary. This is like out of the ordinary phenomenon, and you are an evangelist. You're a skilled storyteller that put a highlight on those extraordinary moments as a way
Mhm.
to educate, as a way to inform, as a way to empower people to empathize, whatever that is. So what a beautiful thing you do.
Thank you. Yeah,
Yeah.
just doing it, just showing up, just following the curiosity, as I say.
Yeah, the way I see it is you're also healing people by proxy, by highlighting your own story, your own healing journey.
Mm.
That's kind of how I see it. How's that? Did you ever set out to do that, or that was just accidental?
Pretty accidental.
Mm,
Yeah. Well, to an extent, because as I mentioned, when I started it, I really did have this desire to share information about health and well-being and empower and educate and inspire people to understand um, health and wellness so that they could feel good in their bodies. And it was so much more like scientific, and I would read
mm,
all this scientific literature and interview experts about different health and wellness trends and modalities. And
mm,
so I actually guess there was an intention for healing, but it wasn't in the way that I'm doing it now, where it expands so much bigger.
mm,
And it's like a much deeper spiritual
mm.
uh, exploration than just like, okay, health and wellness. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
that was accidental because it just led me there.
yeah. So tell us about that, because that requires a level of faith. It requires a level of openness,
Hmm.
right, to go on the adventure, because you didn't set out to do that, but you somehow trusted your higher self, intuition, the dharmic path, whatever you call this,
Right.
and now you're here. So tell us a little bit about the journey going from scientific research and data driven approach to where you are today, because it seems quite different.
Right. Oh, I think I just got bored. That's really what it comes
Move
down.
away from boredom, move towards curiosity. In
Yeah,
a nutshell, that's your philosophy.
it really just comes down to what is exciting and interesting to me.
Uh-huh.
And when I get bored, I need to do something crazier. I'm just like, I just want to know like what's going on here,
Mm,
what's behind this door. So when I kept coming to the same conclusion about
mm,
these wellness modalities, it was like, okay, I would try out something like medicinal mushrooms, which are amazing, like all of the healing mushrooms, and then make
mhm,
a video about it, or like some type of diet trend, and I would give my honest opinion on it, right? And it was the same thing every time, was like, okay, there's some like good research here, maybe we need more, maybe there's this double blind placebo controlled clinical trial that tells us this, but we probably need more studies. Like we always can use more research, and it's amazing. Like research is incredible and informs so much. But I just got bored of that. I was like, but like, what's all the stuff that's like that we don't have any research on that people are doing, and why? Why are they doing it? Like,
Mm,
you know what I mean? All these ancient modalities that like we don't really have a lot of science on, but like people are still doing them thousands of years later.
mhm,
Why?
mhm,
And so let me go try it. And then in our society, we kind of like dismiss that stuff. But I mean, I'm just too curious not to go explore what's going on there.
mm. I mean, this echoes my own journey, hence why
Yeah.
I'm particularly curious about your story. I think there's some parallel in our profession, I guess, professional career. I came from the background of an academic researcher. You know, I
Hmm.
have a PhD in bioengineering. We did all kinds of scientific based studies, and that was my mindset at the time. If it's not measurable, if there is no data or peer review, then you know, whatever. And
Hmm.
then I just slowly over time, now here I am, you know, doing plant medicine work, talk a lot about spirituality. We talk in consciousness, these type of modalities, where there isn't necessarily peer review scientific journals, but here I am, right? So hence why your story is particularly interesting to me.
Mm.
Hmm.
Wow, that is really interesting, especially since you had like an actual PhD.
And
I mean, I
an
studied
actual,
journalism.
yes.
I would, yeah, an actual PhD. I was just like researching stuff out of my own desire to learn, but um, I always find that really fascinating. How, yeah, I think when it comes down to it, like there's something within all of us that desires to understand the deeper meaning of life and why we're here and what we're doing. And it can be so overwhelming that I think it's easy to just shut it out. And it's more convenient to just not really want to go there, because then you open up a whole can of worms and it's like a wild world when you start exploring consciousness and what could possibly be happening. But I don't desire any other way to live at this point. I'm like, oh, I might as well explore since this is happening.
Hmm. Hmm. So how much data do you look at, or is it more just pure subjective experience these days? Less about the consensus reality rather than just a subjective reality.
No, I definitely like to look at scientific literature still, depending on what the topic is.
Hmm.
I love researching,
Mm,
but yeah, it just depends on whatever I'm exploring in the video. Like I did recently, ketamine therapy,
mm,
and there's some amazing research on that for
mhm,
PTSD and depression. And so if it exists, I want to look at it. But some of this stuff, like I don't want to not do a video just because we don't have
mhm, mhm,
science on it. You know what I mean?
mhm.
Like the light language thing, like, I don't think we have much scientific literature on that, but I that doesn't mean I don't wanna go try it.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So what determines what videos you wanna make? Someone tells you like, "Hey, this is really cool transformational modality,
Mhm.
dark room therapy," or whatever you call. I know you did that recently.
Right,
Like, you're like, "Ooh, I wanna try it." Or is it more like a theme of like, "Hey, in this stage of my life, I'm looking for healing in whatever,
right.
gut health or something, so I'm gonna lean more towards that." Is there how do you
Mhm.
pick and choose what to do
Right,
next?
right. It really is just what I wanna try. But
Professional seeker.
yeah, exactly. But, I mean, there's a big level of, like, strategy, YouTube strategy that also comes into it.
Okay, so
It
tell us more about that.
Yeah, no, I mean, I definitely have I think about title and thumbnail. I think about if the video has if I've seen other videos where it's performed well,
Mhm.
um,
Mhm, mhm,
or not. Maybe it's like an untapped subject. That doesn't mean it's not a good video to make, but if
mhm,
there's something that is I don't see the potential for like a strong video, maybe I'll do it on my own,
mm.
but I'm not gonna like make a video about it.
I see. So pause. So you would curiosity, and then also with the side view or the business view of how it's gonna perform on YouTube, and if you're personally interested, but there's not a business reason, then you make a less production version of it for yourself, right? To journal about yourself. But if there is, then you add more, time and production values behind it to for the public. Is that an accurate reflection?
So I would say if it's something I'm either gonna make an amazing video or none at all. So
Mm,
if it's something that I'm curious about, but I don't know if it would make a great video, I'll just do it on my own and I won't document it.
I see.
But then
Got
if
it.
I think it can make a great video, then I'll go all in on the experience and making a great video about it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if you don't mind, let's dive into that. As a
Mhm.
storyteller, what makes a great video or not?
So for me, I mean, I think it comes down to first and foremost, the hero's journey is something we all connect with.
Mm-hmm.
So if I'm looking at a video, I have to think, is there enough of a hero's journey here to happen
Mm,
where like I can make something that will resonate with people, but I can't ever predict what's going to happen. So that's tough. Like you can't predict, and I don't try and script things before. I have to go with what actually happens. But for example, the darkness, going into a dark room retreat where I was in the dark for a week.
mm-hmm.
That is definitely a hero's journey in and of itself, just the whole process. And there's going to be a powerful story to share from that, no matter what happens, most likely. So I can kind of guess that there's going to be something of value that would make an amazing video. And it's right now, I mean, people are talking about it. So this is
Mm,
a trending topic in the
mm,
spiritual
mm,
niche.
mm, mm,
So that's definitely a good video for me to make. Um,
mm.
but then I also think about characters. Like I'm very character driven. I love characters. So that's a whole other way to
What
look at a video
what's
is if
that? What does that mean?
s- um so I do videos with some amazing human beings that are just completely eclectic characters kind of living outside the box and
Mm,
marching to be their own drum. And I love doing videos about specific people that are these characters that I can tell their story. So that's another way
mm.
that I look at what would make a good video. Like it's in a video with a woman who's is grandmother who's been barefoot for 12 years. She doesn't wear shoes,
I
and
saw
her
that.
whole thing is sharing her mission on connecting people back to the earth through their bare feet. And she is super into earthing, and she is such a character. So she made an amazing video, and that video performs so well. And I just love hanging out with these people because I feel like I learn so much from human beings that are just such, yeah, like what would life be without these people that are just
Mm,
doing something different. I did a video with a man who is a breatharian. He doesn't eat food. He's on like a
I saw that
perpetual
too.
fast. And I have my own questions about that. I was like, I don't even know. It's like, is he actually doing this? I want to answer that question. And that's another thing is if there's a good question going into the video, like a core
Mm,
question, then I think that makes a good story. So it could be a number of different things, but those are like a couple of the top things that I'll look at.
mm. So character, hero's journey, and question.
Yes.
What's Thank you for that, by the way.
Yeah.
I love that. Huh. Because as you're speaking about the dark room experience, what also came to mind is what is the primal response? If the primal response is fear, because when you mention about 7 days in a dark room,
Yep.
that's the first thing that comes to mind. Oh shit, I'm gonna freaked out, right? Some
Right.
kind of a
Right.
thing.
Right. Right.
Yeah. So if it's a primal response is a peak experience, then to me that's a signal like, oh, there's a story there somehow.
Definitely. That's like
Yeah,
I did extreme colds training with Wim Hof.
I
That's
saw that.
a good
That's your number
example.
one trending video.
Yeah. So
Mm-hmm.
that's a good example because it's a very primal response. Like I could die.
Mm-hmm. 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 Mm-hmm.
We're all just trying to avoid death. Seek pleasure,
Okay.
avoid death.
Okay. So all right. So let's follow that trend. That thought, for a moment. What about, doing a thing about sauna or doing a thing about extremely constricted space or
Yeah.
I don't know, bright
Well, I did
light or
yeah,
something.
I did, 6 hours in a float tank.
Uh-huh.
Never, ever will I will never do that again.
Okay, so tell us about that. Why wouldn't you do it again?
Oh, it was just so uncomfortable, painfully uncomfortable, and it's like you're for me at least, you're in and out of these weird dreams and creepy out of body experiences, and I mean, we also took some lucid dreaming herbs. We didn't take anything psychedelic, but I did it with
Mm,
these two other um this guy and this girl who work at the Ocean Lab in Austin,
mm,
and they did it with me, and the actually one of them was having such intense out of body experiences. She had to get out after like 2.5 hours, and then me and this guy stayed in overnight 6 hours.
mm,
And it was just so uncomfortable. And then I learned after that the legal limit is 3 hours. I didn't know.
mhm,
Completely surpassed that. Yeah, I just had an idea to like I done floating a couple time, and that's an example where I was like trying to figure out how to make it more of an exciting video concept,
mm,
because every like there's so many videos about sensory deprivation tanks and float tanks. And I was like, well, what would be an interesting twist? Let's
mhm.
go in overnight.
Let's push the envelope.
I do not recommend it. But I
Yeah,
recommend floating for sure for like the normal amount of time. That's beautiful, but 6 hours too long for me.
yeah. So I did it for 2 hours,
Uh-huh.
and yeah, it didn't resonate, let me just put it that way. It wasn't something that I'm like, "Yeah, let's go float again." It's definitely not, and I'm a seeker, right? I'm a very committed seeker, so
Right.
that's something that's not for me. So, okay, so let me ask you this follow-up question. As someone who is a professional seeker, who's always looking to also to experience it, but also think about it to push the envelope a bit for the performance aspect of it,
Yeah.
how do you balance your authenticity versus just let's 10x this thing as a way to push the
Yeah.
edge? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's not authentic to push the envelope because it's kind of something that I want to do anyways, is like find a way to push the envelope just to see what my body can handle. So I don't think it's necessarily inauthentic, but
Sure.
um yeah, I get what you're asking. But that the I mean, if you look at YouTube, and if I want to have a successful career on that
Mhm.
platform, like you have to also look at how the game's being played there and like
Mhm.
figure out how you fit in and how to still align your mission. Like how can I align my mission with my videos with also what this platform wants? And
Mhm.
that's part of the fun of it, is like finding out the strategy, because also how you like the other thing to consider is when it comes to um why is somebody going to watch this? Like the whole goal is to get people to watch, and then from there they have an experience that could open their mind, but if they don't click, they don't watch. So
Mhm.
you got to be thinking about that for sure.
Right. So what is your mental model about that? I mean, I get what you're saying, right? The culture of YouTube is let's make it as wacky as possible to get the attention, right? This is my impression. This is not your words, my words.
Right. Right.
To capture the attention. So they would do all these crazy stunts as a way to capture that attention. So hence the dilemma in my mind of staying true, right, on mission, which is to inspire people to pursue a life of curiosity and adventure and wholeness. But you need to first capture their attention. Hence the question. What
Mhm.
do you think about when you do that?
Well, I don't really think I'm not doing things like that these YouTubers are doing. I'm not doing like Mr. Beast style videos. That's not
Uh-huh.
my lane.
Yeah.
But I'm using like little tiny bits of maybe some of that stuff to
Yeah.
merge it with the topics that I'm doing. But I don't really do anything that extreme. Like the 6 hour flow tank was extreme.
Yeah.
Wim Hof was extreme, but that's like an authentic experience that people go to have in
Mhm.
general. Like he does training like that for people. I mean, the one we did was definitely extreme. But yeah, I mean, again, I do come back to the storytelling. And because if
Mhm.
it's not going to challenge me, then I don't think it's not, I'll just do it on my own. Again, I'm not going to make a video, but it has to challenge me in some way. Like I
Mm.
already done a float tank for an hour and a half. Making a video about a float tank is not going to be exciting.
Mm.
So what would challenge me?
I
Okay, I'll
see. I
just do
like
it
that.
in 6
Okay.
hours.
Got it. Got it. So, okay, so if I'm hearing you right, is what would challenge me, but not so much that I never want to do it again.
Yeah, I mean,
Kind
that
of
did
like that.
made me never wanna do it again, but I didn't know that going in. But, for example, like, I did a video where I was blindfolded for 24 hours because I had
Uh-huh.
already made a video about this, circus group, and,
Mhm.
I wanted to do a new angle, and I wanted to try circus arts blindfolded, so because that would
Mhm.
be exciting challenge, so I just blindfolded myself for, as a ritual.
Mhm.
So, yeah, it's just finding little ways to explore something new and just push the boundary for myself, which I think is I kind of think about it that way. Does that make sense?
It does.
Mhm.
So in my mind, for me, and this sounds like for you as well, being public is being a transformational path. I never actually expected that, but
Right.
being a professional, quote unquote, professional podcaster, video producer is helping me being more authentic,
Mhm.
helping me embracing my voice, helping me telling my truth, right, in a public way. So I'm curious to know your perspective. How has being a professional seeker changed who you are that you never expected?
Mhm. I love that. I mean, I have a similar experience. I feel that I've been able to unlock a deeper level of my authentic expression through doing this.
Mm,
And with every video, I just get more and more comfortable being 100% myself and being able to unleash that part of me
mm,
that wants to express just for the sake of expressing.
mm,
And I have definitely had that experience. I feel like I'm much more able to speak from my heart, speak in truth, and share from that space. And when I first started, it was not that way at all. I was like so uncomfortable, and I had a hard time being myself in
mm,
general, not just on camera, but like in life.
mm,
And I,
mm,
I feel so grateful that that's been a huge byproduct of
mm,
doing this career and taking this path.
mm,
And now I'm able to, yeah, just be more myself than ever.
mm, mm. So, what would you say to the younger Skies listening right now who is saying to herself or himself, wherever, right, watching this,
Hmm.
that, oh, what they portray, this freedom of full self expression sounds awesome,
Hmm.
but never be able to do that. This is not for me. I'm an introvert, I'm shy, whatever stories they tell themselves, or like I'm a professional, I gotta be this certain way. I could never do that in public. What would you say to that person listening right now?
Hmm. I would say, okay, that's cool if you want to stay that way. Like it's your choice. That's okay. You want to stay introverted, you want to stay the way you are, then great. If you have a desire in you, there's any part of you in you that has a uh, any type of desire to unleash yourself and express, then you absolutely can do it. And it is a skill like anything else.
Mhm,
Anything can be learned with
mhm,
consistency and practice, and it
mhm,
just takes baby steps.
mhm.
And then you'll maybe go a little bit too far, and then you're like, okay, recalibrate, recalibrate.
Yeah, not maybe, probably, yeah.
Most likely, it's okay. We all
Yeah,
go through that.
that's right. Such is life, the beauty of it. So, as someone who is a professional seeker, and I'm gonna keep using that term, right, who cultivated his courage muscle over time.
Mhm.
Now you take really bold, quote unquote, risks. uh, of sharing and being open and sharing. We're going to talk about that a bit. What would you say to, again, the person listening? What's a baby step, a micro step, a nano step that they can take to exercise their courage, to lean into their discomfort?
Mm, mhm. Okay. So, I would say that following excitement is a good place to start because with excitement, there's usually some level of fear.
Hmm.
So, you don't have to jump right to, like, the thing you're the most afraid of.
Hmm.
But if you start with something that excites you that maybe, like, scares you a little bit, that's a really good place to start, and I would choose one action to take and
Hmm.
just do it. Do it. That's all I have.
Yeah. Um, so I'm learning Portuguese and djembe right now.
Okay.
So I recently came across a language learning guru,
Mhm,
and then he articulated his framework of how to what's the fastest way to learn the language and then
mhm,
be able to converse with a native speaker for 15 minutes.
okay.
He said the way to do that is not learning the vocabularies or grammar or sentence structures or anything like that. How do you learn to converse for 15 minutes as quickly as possible is by having conversations as quickly as possible.
Mm, mhm,
That's it sounds really simple, but ultimately I believe that's the secret to life, right? Whether it's starting a video or starting a business, the fastest way to start doing something like that is just you do it and you learn it on the go. So
absolutely, absolutely.
do you agree on the path to being a professional storyteller is
Oh,
by telling stories?
yes, I totally agree. That's I mean, the example of language is great because I took language in a traditional public high school, and I couldn't speak any French by the time I was a senior in high school. I it was terrible. I'm like, "How are they what is going on here?" Like, there's something that's not making sense in the way that they're teaching this,
Mm,
and I absolutely believe learn by doing is the key. You have to just dive in and do it and figure it out. And so that's the case with making videos. Like when people ask me how to get started on YouTube, I'm like, make videos and post them. Just go do it and learn as you go. You'll figure it out, but it takes reps. Anything just takes reps and practice.
mm, mm. So actually, on that note, real quick, let's talk about your journey as a video creator. Because for me, in the beginning part, I had to overcome my own fear of, inadequacy or whatever, unskillfulness
Mhm,
to even make videos. And then
mhm,
I, at some point, I get comfortable. Then it's about volume.
mhm,
And these days, I think about quality.
mhm.
Right? Do you think that's an evolution, or can they skip all that and just go directly to quality from day one?
I don't know. I think you got to make some bad stuff before you start making good stuff. I made some
Okay.
pretty bad videos for a long time.
Okay.
Yeah.
And okay, so let's
Rites of passage.
okay, good. Okay, so you agree. So let me ask you this. Do you keep your best stuff, or do I took down all my best stuff because
Well,
I'm
I
personally like,
can't
oh,
access my
I'm
YouTube channel with my videos from high school, so they're out there. I can't get into the account.
okay, great. So if Google's Sky Cowan,
You'll
I'll be
probably
able to
find them.
see.
I had a talk show in high school and with my friends Katarina,
Uh-huh.
and, they're terrible and hilarious, and
Uh-huh.
they exist on the internet because I don't know how to get them down.
Okay. Okay. So let me ask you this. When you watch your younger self doing this, the
Yeah,
natural reaction is cringing. Now,
right.
for me, I look at my youngest stuff, I'm like, oh my gosh, like, I would
I
like,
still cringe at myself now.
okay, good. So, how do you react to that? Do you bring compassion to your younger self? Do you bring gratitude? Do you bring generosity? How do you just like, be a little bit more compassionate about the things that you make in a public
That's a
way?
good question. Honestly, I'm like, whatever. It's whatever. Like, I just totally dismiss it. I'm like,
Got it.
it is what it is.
Moving on. Moving
Yeah,
on.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Onwards and upwards.
Onwards and onwards. Okay, okay. Hmm. Um, do, because you talk to other creators as well, I'm assuming this
Yeah.
is not a uncommon response to stuff they made earlier. How do other people, creators, right? The oh, what's the word I'm looking for? The more seasoned creators deal with their younger creations.
I
Same
think
thing.
I think some of the best creators that I have
Mm-hmm.
talked to and listened to, they only see the past as a learning experience, and
Mm-hmm.
they're really not focused on that. They're focused on how can I make the best video now?
Mm-hmm.
What's next? How can I make this next video the best it can be? And just take
Mm-hmm.
all the learning, but I don't really think they're dwelling on that.
Mm-hmm. 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 Okay, got
Yeah.
it. And regarding how you relate to your art, which is video throughput, um, do you see it as I'm here to serve my audience? So that's one way to look at it. Or do you see it as, hey, I'm just journaling my life. So this is my journal, but in a public way.
Mhm.
Or do you see it as like a highly produced thing that portrays a avatar, an archetype? That guy
Mm.
in the video is not you, right? Kind of like Beyonce and Sasha Fierce as an example. It's an
Uh-huh.
aspect of her, but that's not who she is, kind of a thing. So how do you relate to the artwork that you make, given that you're the main character in your art?
Yeah, I think it's all of those things combined.
Mm,
Because first and foremost, 100% I am serving the audience, because there would be no video without the viewer. And I have an amazing community. I deeply connect to them. I have a Discord with them. I'm talking to them. We do calls. Like, I'm like friends with a lot of the people that watch my content, but then beyond that, like, I'm making the video for someone on the other end to view it and then be impacted by it. And
mm,
whatever their experience is not up to me to decide. But I'm
mm,
going to do my best to share something that's honest and then let them honestly decide how they receive it. So that's definitely a huge part of it. And then, of course, it's, I think, first and foremost, like, before we can serve anyone, we have to serve ourselves. And
mm,
this is a process for me that is deeply fulfilling. So I am absolutely serving myself and fulfilling my desires through creating these videos. And then it's a reciprocal relationship with the audience where they get to receive what I've received, and we get to exchange energy in that way. And then I'm definitely myself in videos, but there is a level of, there's an archetype involved that's just likes to have fun. It's just
mm,
a character that is me, but I get to decide in that video, like, how do I want to be and express myself, and I can have a honest experience of expression, but it's going to be dependent on where I'm at in my life and what day I'm having, and
mm,
how I want to show up in the video based on the topic or the person I'm interviewing. So there's definitely a level of character and archetype that comes in too.
mm. Do you mind double clicking on that a little bit? Because
Mhm.
the question of being authentic, your
Uh-huh.
authentic voice comes up a lot, especially in a public persona like yourself. Be more authentic is what people usually say, but authenticity is contextual. It depends on where you are of the day, the environment, the subject, whoever you interact with. So, so I think it's worthwhile to double click on the art of being authentic, of being that archetypal energy in the art form that you create.
I like that double click.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I think for me it really is a practice of honesty. How radically honest can I be? And that's not always comfortable. Um, and there's so many like things that are involved in how we express honestly. Um, so that's a big part of it. And again, I think it's just it now for me, it's I'm comfortable with having a camera following me doing something or me vlogging it because I've done it so many times. But in the
Mm,
beginning, it is not normal to be kind of documenting an
mm,
experience, or it's not normal to have a camera on you or to be vlogging. It's so then you get used to that camera just being a witness.
mm,
And the more that you get used to it, the more honest and authentic you can be and show up and express.
mm,
And there is a level of, okay, I am creating a video and I'm presenting something and I'm going to show up with maybe more energy or in like a different way than I would if I'm just sitting on the couch talking to my friend. Like
mm,
there's always going to be a slight difference, but it
mhm.
doesn't mean it's inauthentic again because it's just a different experience.
Yeah. No, I appreciate you saying that. I agree 100%. I think
Mhm.
part of it is the nature of this question is how do we authentically be a part of ourselves versus a projection of what we want the world to see. And to me, that's,
Yep.
very nuanced and very delicate because, when the camera is on, I'm a little bit louder. I
Right.
enunciate a little bit more, right? I'm a little bit more energized versus, camera is off, then I'm just speak normal. Maybe I mumble a little bit. Who knows?
Right. Right.
So, and when you think about a role or a character to your audience, is it like a friend? Is it like a guru? Is it like a big sister or a little sister? What do you think about a professional shaman? Like, who are you when you're, to your relationship to your audience?
Oh my god. I am a guru. I'm just kidding.
Some
Absolutely
people
not.
present themselves
Absolutely
as such,
not.
right? Sadhguru is such a, Tony Robbins,
Right,
they're
right,
guru
right.
level,
Yeah,
wisdom
I think
teachers.
a full-blown, cult leader.
Yeah?
Yeah, I'm kidding, I'm kidding. Um, no, we always joke. I make so many cult jokes because in the spiritual community, it is a definite thing that goes on. But I think it's really dependent. Again, it's whoever is receiving the content, they're going to decide what relationship because they're receiving it. And then it's when I get into, for example, in my community Discord or on calls with people, or like we're jamming on an idea. I get ideas from my community all the time. It's more of a friendship, I think, than anything, because these are people that I would probably be friends with in real life, that I am a lot of them now friends with in real life. Like I just did a video where I went on an adventure with one of my subscribers who I've known for over a year on the internet. But we go
Mm,
on this adventure together, and this is something that an idea that he brought to me. It's an idea I kind of had. It was an event. It was the Rainbow Family Gathering, and I've been wanting to do it for a couple of years. But he came to me saying it's the 50th anniversary. I want to go. I've been wanting to go for 30 years. Let's go. He's 71, such a
oh,
legend,
wow.
OG
That's
hippie,
awesome.
like unbelievable person.
OG hippie. That
No,
should be a
seriously,
t-shirt there. OG hippie.
I know, right? And he was
I
in
like it.
Osho's cult back in the day. Like he has
That's awesome.
crazy stories. So he wanted to go. He brought me the idea and we made it happen and we went, and it was so fun. And this man is just like a sweetheart and now a dear friend. And I've done other videos. I'm trying to think, like I haven't done a ton with subscribers, but like I've done definitely other videos where I'm meeting people and like bringing them into the adventures. And these are humans that I am now actually friends with. Oh yeah, at Unleashed, like there was a whole group of people from my community there, and we all were partying together, sober partying. It was a sober experience, and it was
Yeah.
so fun. Um, but yeah, like they're friends. That's the way the relationship that I would say. But then there is a boundary. Like you can't be friends with like thousands of people.
Okay, so
Yeah,
let's talk about that for a moment, right? Because
right.
I'm assuming do you have you heard Thousand True Fans by Kevin Kelly?
Yes,
Okay,
yes.
great. So a thousand true fans, and the way you describe them sounds like a true fan to me. Would
Mhm.
you say so?
Right.
What's your definition of a true fan, by the way?
Um, a true fan. I mean, I think true fan is they're excited about pretty much most things that you create and they want to be
Hmm.
involved
Hmm.
and support however they can.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Awesome. So for someone, again, speaking to the younger Sky who,
Uh-huh.
is a little insecure about her creation, who isn't sure about whether or not the stuff she creates would resonate with people. This is super young
Yeah.
Sky.
Yeah.
What would you say to her now that you have a community of true fans who just loves everything that you put out, who wants to travel with you, who wants to party with you, who wants to, heed the recommendation of Sky's adventures? What would you
Right.
say to that Sky who is unsure about, her possible true fan,
Mhm.
base?
I would just tell her to really trust herself because it will lead to really supporting a lot of people. And the same way they want to hang out with me, I want to hang out with them. These people are so cool. Rich was in Osho's cult. Are you kidding me? I'm like, I want to hang out with you. Let's go on an adventure. They're so fun. All of the people that watch my videos are like they're people that I would be friends with in real life that now it's evolved to that in some capacity, right? So I would just tell her like trust yourself, trust your expression, trust what you're doing because it will lead to really impacting people. And that's what I've seen. And it's the biggest gift because that's really what it comes down to is why I keep going is because of how people have been impacted
Mm,
by the videos. It blows my mind. Like to see
mm,
the actual tangible changes in people's lives that they'll share with me. It's
mm,
crazy. And then the community is so beyond me. It's not like me, I'm the leader and it's it has to exist only with me leading. Like it's not that at all because the community itself is it's on taking on its a life of its own and they're all supporting each other. And I don't even need to be there and they're supporting each other. It's beautiful.
mm. So let's talk about that journey from no fan to lots of true fans. Okay.
Mhm.
Knowing what you know today, when would you start the Discord, the Patreon, the energetic exchange of paying you
Mhm.
money or things like that, or getting a sponsor? Knowing what you know today, what
Mhm.
would you advise the younger Sky on when to turn on what?
I think that I am happy with how I did it because I did
Hmm.
it in timing that I didn't feel like I rushed it. The Discord really was something that I mean I could have done that earlier because I didn't realize how much it would actually impact people and it was so called for and needed. But I think it was in really good timing. Everything happens. And I would say that like what I've done is really listen to the community and what they want. So only do things when you know that that's what your audience, your true fans, your community actually desires and then
Mm,
deliver on that. Listen to them. Like I have a understanding of what they want. So I'm
mm.
doing my first
How did you
retreat,
do that? How did you know what they want? Again,
talk to them.
okay, hold on though. Hold on.
Yeah,
You make it sound obvious, but
right, right.
think about the younger Skies, right?
Yeah,
Like
yeah, yeah.
who's a beginner creator. It's not so obvious. So
Right,
so so break down those pivotal moments, those ahas for the younger Sky.
right. Okay, so first let's start with you're pretty much asking me when to start monetizing what you're doing, right?
Yeah, that's one way to say it.
The
Yeah,
Discord, I mean, I guess
creating
like
a
offerings
a
and everybody,
container exactly.
right?
Yeah.
Because for example, the Discord's completely free, but
Hmm.
Patreon brand partnerships you asked about. So the first thing that I did, I guess, I was making money a little bit with AdSense on YouTube, but it was like barely enough. And I was doing this on the side for 2 years. So it was getting really challenging to keep things going. I'm like, I either have to do this full time or like I can't keep going. And so I knew I wanted to do it full time. And I think the first brand partnership, um, I was a way to start monetizing. And I had enough of an audience then. So I think as soon as you can, um, only doing brand partnerships that are aligned is so important. Like, I would never do something. I say no to a ton of brand deals. Um, and it has to be something that I genuinely align with. But when it comes to the other offerings, like the energetic exchange with the community is really what you're asking me about, and
Yeah.
listening to them and what they want.
Hmm.
So, I mean, I think when you're starting, it's so important to be listening to the comment section and responding to comments, and especially on YouTube, that's a big way that you'll start to understand them. So in the first day or so of posting, I would always respond to all the comments and talk to people and just really be listening to what they like, what they don't like. And
So when you started posting video
uh-huh.
one, you already had people commenting right away?
I mean, it wasn't that much. Maybe there was actually one person. This is so funny because I had like an old channel in college that
Hmm.
was really bad, but it was the first version of my YouTube channel. And I had one person that really likes those videos for some reason. And when I stopped posting, he emailed me and he was like, "Are you going to start posting again?" And that was huge because it made me realize that there's one person that likes these videos. Maybe I should
Mm.
start posting again. And then I did a whole new channel with what my current channel is now. And when I told him when I posted my first video, and then he was there every week commenting. Like, I had
Mm.
one person that was excited. So I was literally like
Mm.
just interacting with him and posting videos for him. And then I did start getting from there more like just small amounts of people coming in, and whoever they were, I was so stoked to talk to them because
Mm.
I mean, yeah, they're the ones that I'm making this for essentially. So of course I want to talk to them, get to know them.
Mm. Mm. So let me double, underline that. So engage with the people that you're making this video for, and then when they engage with you, make sure you give them the TLC that they desire as well. I love that.
For sure, for sure.
Hmm.
Keep listening to your community and really be constantly aware of the feedback that they're giving. And then eventually I started doing like surveys and stuff like that. Um,
Mm. Do you
and
wait before the survey? Do you hop on a call with them? You're like, why are you watching my video? Trying to understand a little bit more of how you can help them better, anything like that?
yeah, I mean, I eventually, that first person who, the first true fan really, who was watching my videos in the beginning, became my research intern. That helped him get into med school. Like, it's crazy. We talk all the time at that time. Now we like check in every once in a while, but yeah, I would listen to their feedback for sure.
Mm.
And anytime somebody now that I meet in person, I'm asking them what videos they like and why, and what I should
Mm.
do better.
I like it.
Mhm.
And do you have like a beta tester group? You're like, these are my true fans. They know the pulse of our community. Let me, meet with them regularly to get better understanding of the pulse of what they desire and so forth. Do you do that?
No, that's a good idea. I should definitely do that. I like that.
What's her name? Taylor Swift does that, right? Whenever she launches
Right.
CDs or something like that, albums. I don't do CDs anymore. it shows my age. Shows my age.
That's great.
CDs, what's that? When she does like launches, she would do these like VIP parties for her hardcore fans, right?
Yep.
So that's what she does.
Yep.
Do you do that with your videos? Like, hey, I'm about to launch this, video clip.
I've done that a little bit, like asking them for what title and thumbnail they like.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean ideas for sure. Like we have a suggestion box
Mm-hmm.
on the Discord where people put ideas, and I'm always listening to what ideas people want. And what's interesting is it overlaps a lot where there will be consistent the same idea coming through, and it's something that I was wanting to make,
Mm-hmm.
and then I'm like, "Oh, well the community wants it too. Great. Let's go do it."
Mm. So the context on I'm hearing you do that you're saying is make content that supports your community's desire and really human beings' desire, these hardcore, true fans' desire, and
Right.
also create a container that supports their desire, whether it's Patreon or Discord or whatever the thing that was going to help them. So that way, it's an ecosystem that you're cultivating. Is that an accurate reflection?
Yeah. For example, I was going to say I'm doing my first retreat in January because this is something that they've been asking for, right? I
Mm,
wouldn't just do a retreat just to do it, but oh my gosh, the excitement around meeting in person and doing something in person that brings them the
mm,
things that they see on the channel in real life. That's
mm,
been a very exciting thing that they've been asking for. So I'm doing it. And
mm. So
yeah,
you're doing your own retreats in a few months.
in January, yes.
Oh, amazing! I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's an obvious yes, right?
Yeah.
For your community of seekers.
Right.
So would you be the guru, or would you be the production manager to bring the
No, I'm bringing in the gurus, you know?
okay.
Yeah, yeah. I am not the guru.
Hey, I mean, if you're a cult leader, you're a cult leader. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, cult leader is different than guru.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. How do you think this experience will be different as the experience curator versus a content creator? You know what I mean? Because it
Hmm.
is different. So how do
Yeah,
you
for sure.
anticipate this to be very different or only a little bit different?
Oh, it's going to be so fun because I get to really create and curate an experience of a lifetime for a group of people and give that group of people so much love and attention and connection. And we are going to bond in a way that's so far beyond just like bonding via a screen, you know? So
Mm,
I'm so excited. I think it's going to be really deep and just a lot of transformation
mm,
and support and
mm.
adventure. I think it's going to be completely different, but it's going to be so fun. And we're going to do content too. I mean, it's going to be so fun to make content as well at
Oh,
the retreat.
wait. So they're basically the younger versions of you. They desire to be a professional seeker as well, and
Yeah.
they're using this as a way to not only experience but also make content.
Yeah, I mean the content opportunities are incredible. Like we're going to be doing the coolest shit. Of course I'm going to document it.
Well, I mean, not for you, but also for your
Yeah.
participants. Your participants are gonna make content for themselves.
Oh, I don't think so. I mean, if they want to, but we're
Oh,
gonna
okay.
have like a videographer there, you know.
Got
And I
it.
don't know
Got
if
it.
they can if they want, but
Got
they're
it.
not gonna
Got
have to
it.
worry about that. But
Got it.
I'm
Got
gonna,
it. Got it.
make sure it gets documented for them.
How do you integrate everything that you learn in your life to be this? I don't even know. What's the goal? The ultimate enlightenment, like samadhi at all times, or how do you integrate everything that you learn in all of these peak experiences?
I don't think I'll ever get to pure enlightenment, samadhi at all times. I don't even know what that is. I
Uh-huh.
have no clue. After all this time of seeking, I'm like, what the fuck is enlightenment? I don't know.
Hmm. Hmm.
um, I have no idea. Like you're asking somebody who's literally just trying to figure it out, and I
Mm.
don't feel like I know anything.
Mm. But you must. I mean, do you integrate after,
Oh
let's
yeah,
say, a peak experience? Right. So
yeah.
as you when you finish a peak experience,
Mhm.
what do you do after you get home other than editing?
Journaling, lots of journaling. And I
Uh-huh.
try and the biggest thing with integration is taking the lessons and the insights that you've gained and applying them in
Yeah.
every moment.
Yeah.
That's the biggest thing. So it's bringing awareness to every single moment and how can I apply this lesson? And that's true integration. I
Yes.
think. So that's with the darkness, for example, I mean, that integration has been really interesting because I'm constantly coming back to what I learned in the dark, being like, okay, how can I apply the downloads that came through? How can I actually practice this? How can I bring awareness to every single moment and how I am integrating with all of the things that I felt
Mm.
the clarity that I felt. Um, and yeah, that's easier said than done. It's not easy because we have so many things to distract us from from it.
Well, hence the question of the integration practices, because I'm big on plant medicine, so I experience a lot of plant medicine. I don't know if you know about that about me, and I've seen a lot of people that experience the afterglow of transformational experience, and
Mhm.
their first reaction is, "Yeah, I got, pure love, collective consciousness, and all that." And then they say, I'm gonna be constantly aware from now on.
Mm,
And but then, after 2 weeks, the afterglow fades because
mm,
there's no intention in cultivating a practice.
yeah,
This time, I'm gonna sit down and doing this thing,
yeah,
or with this person. Hence the question of integration per se. So.
right.
Mhm.
I mean, well, there are practices that I do consistently that I think that allow me to bring forward some of that integration, but it changes. It's like how when you are an athlete, you need to do new workouts to constantly challenge your body in new ways. I
Mhm.
think that's how I view spiritual practice and
Mhm.
mental health is I'm not going to do the same meditation every day for like 3 years. I'm going to switch it up and try a different technique. Sometimes
Mhm.
I'm going to be focused on doing affirmations, or that's what I'm on right now, is trying mirror affirmations, which isn't something I've really tried before, and it just felt called to do that right now. Um,
Mm.
and I think it's unrealistic to say, okay, every single day I'm going to do meditation and mirror affirmations and journaling and ice bath and this and that, like yoga, everything every single day. I need to do all these things. I mean, that's tough, especially with these crazy lives that we have and so much going on. And so just choosing to stick to one thing,
Mhm.
and then if you get to all the other things in a day that you have more time, amazing. I mean, my yoga practice has been the most consistent part of my life for the
Mm.
past more than, let's see how many years, like 13 years.
Okay.
Yoga
So
is the hands down most consistent thing that I do regularly that allows me to develop deeper awareness, and the practice on my mat
great.
is incomparable. So,
Great. I love that. So let's drill in on that.
mhm.
Uh, which teacher, which book, what kind of yoga practice? Because we want to get people to be tactical, right? So if you can
Mhm.
guide them, point them towards the direction that does really help you,
Right.
that would be something that's actionable for whoever is listening.
Right. Well, I've tried all different types of yoga because, again, yoga is such a
Mhm.
huge umbrella of so many different lineages and practices. And so, the same way I was mentioning that it's good to switch up your workout and try one
Mhm.
day you do hit, one day you do more recovery, one day you're going to run, do cardio. Like I've tried a lot of different types of yoga, but the form that I come back to is I love hot power yoga
Mhm.
because there's something that happens when you're in that discomfort on the mat that you just train yourself how to be with discomfort in life.
Mhm.
And that's my favorite. I love bhakti yoga too. Bhakti yoga with chanting mantras, singing mantras is huge for me.
Mhm.
But I've tried kundalini. Kundalini is crazy. I've tried yeah, a lot of different types, like more of
When you
the
say crazy, what does that mean for you, by the way? Crazy awesome or crazy crazy?
crazy in all the ways. I mean, Kundalini yoga is absolutely nuts. I went through a whole experience trying Kundalini yoga 40 days straight for a video. The practice itself is, I think it's really powerful. It's really mentally challenging. It's physically and mentally challenging. It's one of those types of practices that you just like want to quit, but you don't. And then when you get to the other side, it's so rewarding and you experience all this freedom and liberation knowing I did it. I stayed in the crazy breath pattern. I remember like one of the first classes, I had to like do this thing with my hands and like blow through my hands for 11 minutes straight, like, and it was so brutal, and I just hated it so much when I was in it, and then on the other side, I was like, "Wow, I did it. This is epic." But Kundalini yoga is crazy as well because, I mean, talk about cults. Kundalini yoga and Yogi Bhajan, there's a whole wild, wild story there. Vice just
Hmm.
released a documentary like a month ago that dives into it. But I had also done some stuff about it because when I was exploring Kundalini yoga, all of this stuff came out about the founder, Yogi Bhajan, and yeah, it's some wild stuff that has happened with that community. I don't need to get into it.
Hmm.
Um, and this is like a theme in so many spiritual communities. There's been
Mm.
tons of cult activity and abuse, and but it doesn't mean that the practices don't have value. And you have to understand and figure out like what about this practice can I take and like what can I drop and not involve myself in. It just depends on what it is. But
How
coming
do
back,
you
yeah,
how do you because when I watch your videos, you had mentioned that you interview a fake what's her name? A fake shaman or something like that some
yeah,
time ago when you
yeah,
interview the real Siberian shaman, right?
right, right,
You
right,
mentioned that.
right.
So to that point, you are evangelizing these human figures, and humans inevitably are frail and they have their own faults and so forth.
Uh-huh.
How do you think about, you know, hey, when someone, like a fake shaman that you interview, like, hey, this person is actually fake, not real, or how do you choose the ones that you do want to highlight? You know what I mean? Not a
Yeah,
imposter.
yeah, yeah, yeah. It really comes down to again the curiosity thing, and then being totally honest about my perspective because I could be totally wrong. But in that case, I mean, this is somebody who changed their identity multiple times and
Mm,
was from different places. So it was pretty obvious that there was some strange things going on. And beyond that, I did uncover a lot of stuff I didn't actually put in the video. Some pretty wild things happening with like bigger web and organization. And anyways, um,
mm,
but that yeah, I had and I asked her about this, and she kind of denied it on camera multiple times. So
mm,
and I also had talked to people who had experiences, and I just think it's a bunch of BS. So that's my honest experience.
mm,
Um, and yeah, I'll never, I mean, who's to say that I am right or wrong about any of these things? I do try and go in with an open mind, but I'm going to be honest if I
mm.
think somebody's full of
Love
baloney.
BS. Got it. So what's the dream, Sky? You're doing all this. You're doing the good work. You're experiencing lots of um, beautiful journeys and communities. You're building your community. What's the dream? Is the dream be the uh, what's his name that passed? Oh man, yeah, the food show.
Anthony Bourdain.
Anthony Bourdain of food, but in the spiritual realm, or like the Joe Rogans of those things. So
Yes.
like, what's the dream?
That sounds good. I think that's a good plan.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm just gonna keep going. I want to just make better videos. I think the dream is just to make the best videos that I can. I mean, I have a desire to, yeah, make things that nobody's ever seen before, and I don't know where
Mm,
that's gonna go, but I'm gonna keep going.
I love it. And then who do you look to in the in the YouTube world, like Mr. Beast or someone to like,
Yeah,
hey, this person are doing all the right things.
I don't
You
know.
know?
I mean, I there's so many channels that I really enjoy. Um, I don't try and like mimic
Mm-hmm.
channels because I take things from a bunch of different places
Mm-hmm.
that I like, but I again, I want to make stuff that is original, that like you're
Mm-hmm.
not going to see this anywhere else. So I don't know if I can answer that question properly.
So you do so okay, two schools of thought, right? One school
Right.
of thought is let me consume others and
Yeah.
then pick and choose, basically get inspired ideas from their stuff. That's one school of
Yeah.
thought. Another school of thought is, hey, I'm Gary V, great example. He just I don't watch anyone's anything, just gonna be me. So
Right.
that's school of thought. Where are you in that spectrum?
I love consuming content, and
Yeah.
but I'm not trying to mimic anyone with the stuff that I make.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna take, just by default of consuming content and having that in my brain and the running in the background, all these
Yeah.
different things that I admire and all these styles I admire will somehow come through in what the piece of video that I'm making. But I
Yeah.
don't really try and like, okay, I'm gonna do it like how they're doing it.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, Sky. I really, really appreciate you sharing your journey and doing what you do. Uh, yeah, our common friend described you as a badass, creator, a badass woman. You know
Oh.
who it is. So, and that's my experience of you as well.
Oh,
I
thank
really
you.
appreciate just how you live your life. Being a seeker in such a fearless, courageous way, and then you're helping people
Mm.
finding modalities that's going to help them improve their life. You're telling the stories of these practitioners and wisdom keepers and how to live longer, live a happier life, whether it's through whatever modalities, however extraordinary it may be. I really, really appreciate you. Thank you for the work that you do.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate you too. I'm so glad that we got to do this. And this was so much fun. And I love talking to you. Even our conversation that we had at Aniwa off camera was just so fun. So I'm excited to continue talking as fellow seekers.
We do have similar path.
Yeah.
All right. With that being said, yeah, guys, go to YouTube and follow Sky. What's your
Sky Life.
Sky Life? That's right, Sky Life. Okay. Until we see each other again.